may want to go ahead and mute yourself since we have 30 some people on. Great. Thanks, everyone.
All right, so I have hit record. Thank you everyone for joining the State Captain Kickoff call. We are so excited that you're here and to have so many people joining. My name is Tracy Sullivan. I'm the Grassroots Outreach Manager at Resolve. And I'm gonna kick it over to Ryan in a minute and let do a couple introductions. But let's move to the next slide. And like Barb said, we'll definitely have time for questions. I think we'll have some time also for some discussion. If for the moment you want to mute yourself, since we do have quite a bit of people on here. And then if you have any questions while we're discussing things, definitely feel free to put them in the chat as well. And I'll be monitoring the chat, and so will Ryan, and we'll address those questions. So for tonight's agenda, we're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk about some continuing and ongoing state captain recruitment efforts, some tips and resources for state captains, and have a bit of a discussion. We are going to introduce some state captain mentors who are going to be available to help support you, talk about some of the responsibilities of the role, timeline, logistics, organization, next steps, and follow-up. And again, we're going to leave plenty of time for questions throughout this. So again, feel free to put them in the chat box. All right, so I'm going to have Ryan introduce himself first, and then we'll kick it over to us at Resolve. Oh, you are muted, Ryan. Hold on.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone.
Oop.
Everyone that I can see at least. Hi, how you doing? My name is Ryan Ferrante. I got to tell you, it's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces. I wasn't expecting everyone to see all those names popping in from last year, so no one got scared away by the virtual environment. I'm just really honored to be asked to lead the group again for a second year. Just like all of you, Resolve and its mission is really, really important to me and my family, and has been for years. I am a father to a 3-year-old who was conceived by IVF and carried by a gestational surrogate. And our second child is due in April. So I might be a little bit occupied or driving back from Tallahassee to Chicago after our child is born. So forgive me in advance if I'm not available in early April, but we'll talk a little bit about schedules later. I am also a reproductive attorney. I will not be wearing that hat in this role unless Barb asks me to, so probably not at all. I am completely overwhelmed by the response to the people that want to be state captains this year. I can't say that it was particularly easy last year, but I don't think that we're going to have any issues filling any of the roles for state captain this year. Even if it means that you are filling a role in a state in which you are not a resident, and that's okay. We just want people to be training others and preparing others. There's no substitute for a lack of preparation, and I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned from last year was being able to prepare people for the virtual environment is really critical. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you're prepared for Advocacy Day, because your role, especially in the virtual environment as a state captain, is so critical. Our approach over the next few months will always be collaborative, and I am always available to you. All of you are so critical to the success of Advocacy Day. We're going to give you all of the material that you're going to need to be successful in the role, but it's my sincere hope that you teach me and each other far more about being the best advocate and advocate leader than we ever could. And we'll talk about some of the ways that we plan to make that happen over the coming months, but we'll break some of that ground tonight. Okay.
Thanks so much, Ryan. And again, I'm also so excited to see so many familiar and new faces. And we are so thankful that you're joining this State Captain program. Again, my name is Tracy Sullivan. I'm going to be the Advocacy Day project manager. So I'll be working a lot behind the scenes and helping out with logistics and coordination for the day. So just wanted to say hi, and if you don't know me, I'm excited to meet you virtually, and I'll pass it on to Barb.
Hi, everyone. It is just such an honor to be here. Ryan, we are just so happy that you agreed to come back and lead our state captains again, because it was just awesome last year having you lead them, and we were just all thrown into the virtual environment, and I'm just so glad you hung in there and came back. I want to give a big shout out to one of our board members, Julie Berman from Minnesota. Thank you, Julie, for also being a state captain and for serving on our board. And this is Tracy's second Advocacy Day. So now that she is up and running and has been through one, I am very much in the background, like so far in the background, you barely will see a shadow of me. So please direct all your questions to Ryan and Tracy, because they really know far more of what's going on than I do, honestly. But I just want to reiterate what Ryan said and how critical the state captains are. This year, Advocacy Day, we have the biggest committee we've ever had. Tracy can tell you a little bit about the committee later in the call. And then layer on top of that all of the state captains. And it's just really incredible. This is the earliest we have ever had our state captains organized and working. I mean, Advocacy Day is in June, so we have months of preparation, and I'm just so thrilled to have you. Your role is so critical. We put a lot on the state captains when we switched to virtual, and I think we felt like, you know, it's probably the best structural way to do it. So I hope that you're ready. I just want to reiterate, though, that if at any point in time you realize that you cannot do this, you can't fulfill the commitments, you need to tell us right away. We respect everybody's journey. Everyone has busy lives, and things come up, and we have months together. So please, please, please do not hesitate. There will be somebody we can find to fill in, and we'd much rather know early and upfront than to have people just kind of disappear and feel bad. We don't want that. So please know that we still care about you, and we still hope that you can participate in some capacity for Advocacy Day, but we understand if you can't. So with that, I'm again back in the shadows. I'm going to turn my camera off and turn it back over to Tracy and Ryan.
All right, Ryan, I'll let you take it away for these next slides.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to respond to some people in the chat at the same time. So if you sent me a direct message, I promise I will do it after the call. Or I'm going to take notes and make sure to get in touch with you directly. Let's talk a little bit about the ongoing recruiting efforts. We obviously have an overwhelming response. All these people on the call that want to be state captains, amazing. The goal is to have each state delegation led by a state captain experienced in Advocacy Day and from that state. Now, we came close last year, but I think, as Barb was talking about, the early efforts are going to help us get to that point where we have a delegation that is representative of the state and led by someone from that state. Okay, we've got plenty of time to prepare people to do so. Based on the success from last year and built on every year before it, we should have someone to ask to lead each delegation. And sometimes we need 2 or 3 people to lead some of the larger delegations. And I know you guys know which delegations those are. Virginia and Maryland and Massachusetts and California and Texas and so many others that because of the overwhelming response that we've been getting, I think that we're probably looking at some states having 2 or 3 captains, right? So we're absolutely looking for suggestions, recommendations, or even your own independent outreach to identify captains for, some of the states that are on this slide. I think I've already been contacted by somebody for North Carolina, but that doesn't mean that if you know somebody for North Carolina, that you shouldn't recommend them or tell them to reach out to us. Like I said, we want to know who they are. The volunteers before us, the ones that are currently doing it, still doing it, they did an extraordinary job of leaving us with considerable resources to be able to carry that mantle. And while, the focus is always on this year, we also need to have a long-term attitude because we'll eventually see the change that we're advocating for today, but it's going to take time. So we want to build up that bench today. Okay. So please keep in mind, and if there is someone that you think would be a good state captain, please let us know or put us in touch with them. Okay. If you remember someone from Advocacy Day last year that was helpful, that could be a co-captain this year, don't be afraid to ask them. It could be really helpful to us and to the mission in the long run. Any other points about recruiting, Tracy?
No, I think you've got them. I think that, yeah, we definitely are going to be, if you also are, a state captain currently by yourself, like Ryan said, and you would like an additional support and somebody else to help, please let us know. And also, please, like Ryan said, if there's someone else that that you think would be a great state captain, to connect us with them. We'd love to be able to have, state captains for all states. And again, keeping in mind, these missing states, if you know of, people that you think would be a great fit, please let us know.
You can go to the next slide. Okay, so tips, resources, discussion, best practices. This is going to be what could go on this slide is going to evolve over the next couple of months. As for the approach that we're taking with the state captain program today, let's just say that we learned an awful lot last year about what we do really well, where some of the soft spots are, and most importantly, how we can make sure that the advocates are as prepared as they possibly can be. Okay. We're putting together a state captain instructional guide. The way we view it is that it will be a manual that will include all of the training materials, scripts, talking points, a contact list, FAQs, so that you can prepare the delegations. We'll talk a little bit about what the schedule may look like, but you're going to have your own meetings with your delegations to be able to prepare them and to assign roles and talk through what the calls should look like. And this is really so that you have all of the materials in one place, organized for you and for your convenience on Advocacy Day, because we know too often, it can be a little bit chaotic with a change of schedule, or the time of the meeting gets moved up, or it conflicts with an existing meeting and other roles are assigned. So we want to put backups to the backups to the backups, okay? And so that there's no concern about what happens in the event that we need to be nimble on Advocacy Day, because we all know that happens too often, okay? But please know that when this document is provided to you, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but this and everything else is collaborative. Please tell me or Tracy if there is something that you think that we should do differently, or that you think that we can do better. Okay, this is not, these are not hard and fast rules. If there's something that can be a benefit to the entire group, please tell us, and we'll make sure that we're updating this instructional guide, not only so that it's effective on Advocacy Day this year, but something that we can rely on in the future. Okay. I want all of you to feel some ownership of the document. Okay. So that every state captain feels as prepared as they can be. And also to that end, we will have, you'll experience some, obstacles along the way. And we wanted to make sure that you weren't alone out on an island with your delegation to wonder about who should I contact about how to handle this particular situation. So we have these experienced state captain mentors who will be available to you. They've seen it all, they've heard it all. And do we have something in the next, do we have something to introduce the mentors on the next slide?
Yes, we do
Okay.
have a slide
Okay.
coming up to introduce
Okay.
them and give them a chance to say hi.
So Kelly and Carrie and others that have been identified as mentors, they're going to be available to you to answer questions that may come up about, a particular bill or, on Advocacy Day. We want to have a team that can be relied on to answer questions on the fly. And not everyone has all the answers, and we've definitely learned that on Advocacy Day as well. So if you go to the next slide, I don't know if Kelly and Carrie are on the call, if they want to introduce themselves. Is that the next slide?
1 second. It's just, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Kelly or Carrie, if you're on the call, you just want to say hello.
Call, it's Carrie. Oh, I see Kelly too. I'm really excited about this new role for me. And that's not at my house, I can tell.
We're in the middle of bedtime.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but that was appropriate, Kelly.
So I'm Kelly Garrity. I've been, as I told Tracy, I think it's the 7th or 8th Advocacy Day. I think you stop counting after 5. Both of my kids are IVF babies following several miscarriages and infertility. And the crying baby is my 1-year-old son who follows a stillbirth. So I've been, A to Z and back, it seems like.
Thanks, Kelly.
I have not had children. I have been working with Resolve for nearly 20 years. I would be a grandmother more than I would be a mother at this point. But this organization has been a passion of mine. It's been really good to work both on the national level as well as on the state level. And I'm really excited about this new role for me this year. I am totally available to answer any questions, to help folks kind of go through the process, the entire process. I am at your beck and call. So.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly and Carrie, and we'll provide your contact information for the group. But we're so excited to have you as mentors, and everyone, please, reach out to them with questions, and they're here to help support you.
Okay. What slide are we on here?
We are on state captain coordinators.
Oh, right. Okay. So in addition to the mentors, sorry, I just had it really small. In addition to this, the mentors, we also have state captain coordinators, which is kind of a subcommittee within the subcommittee that is going to help develop a lot of these materials that you're all going to be relying on. I'm sure that none of these names are unfamiliar to you. If they are, you'll be introduced to them very shortly. I don't know if any of them are on the phone, but you can say hi. I will be working very closely with them to make sure that all the material that we're providing to you is something that can really help prepare your delegations, because you guys are going to kind of act like a funnel, right? And we'll talk about the primary responsibilities of the state captains in a second. But this group, and if anybody else has any extra time, I'm not going to stop you from being a state captain coordinator too. If you want to spend more time on developing material or training materials, we're always looking for additional input or time from anyone else. Okay. But these are some of the names that I at least wanted you to see, because you may hear from them, right? And I didn't want their names to come as a surprise. They will be working with me to make sure that all the materials are being sent out to you timely. Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll definitely put together, I think it's talked about on the slide, we'll put together a contact list of, Ryan's information, of the state captain coordinators, mentors, other state captains. So that way everyone has a full list of who are the main contacts, and we can put down, who to reach out to for which questions or information. So that way that, you'll have access to all of that.
Awesome. Okay. So let's answer the question that I think everyone's wondering here. What do I have to do? And I know that this list may look a little daunting, but I can sum this up pretty simply with 2 points. Okay. My view of the state captain's role is this. Number one, prepare your delegations for Advocacy Day. Number two, be a resource to answer questions from your delegation. Okay. If you can accomplish those 2 things, then I think you've accomplished everything. Okay. In other words, you're either pushing information to the advocates or pulling information back to resolve for questions that you can't answer. Okay. And when I say resolve, that means any of the coordinators or Tracy or myself to answer questions of your delegation. Okay. So let's get into the details. 1, attend the calls or listen to the recordings with updates on the state captain's program, plus familiarize yourself with the materials like the state captain instructional guide, okay, which we will be providing to you in the next couple of weeks, after which you can relay that information to the delegation, okay? We obviously don't know what the delegations are going to look like today. They're going to look vastly different today than they're going to 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, and 4 months from now. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that each state captain meeting is worth your time, okay? We'll address common issues in the instructional guide with each delegation within each meeting, so that you're the best state captain that you can be. Also, we're relying on you to be a resource to the delegation, whether that means, putting your arm around a first-time advocate and encouraging them to do as much as they're comfortable doing. Probably most importantly, organize the delegation for successful Advocacy Day. It's all about organizing. Like I said, there's no substitute for preparation for Advocacy Day. Okay. And ultimately and finally, documenting the delegation's successes on Advocacy Day, after Advocacy Day, and helping with follow-up. Okay. So again, from my perspective, I think the responsibilities of a state captain can be narrowed down to some time monthly. My goal is to start a monthly meeting among state captains. And as we get closer, we're going to probably change that to a bi-weekly meeting as we get closer. And then as the needs require, we'll start to tighten the valve a little bit, so to speak, if we need to have some more meetings. Okay. So the time, the organization and preparation of the delegation, and then being a resource for advocates in your state. Okay. So to that point, I think the next slide is about the timeline. So what does the calendar look like between now and Advocacy Day? Is that the next slide?
Yes.
Okay. So for January, February, and March, we would like you to let us know more about, anyone that you think might be a good fit as a state captain. If they haven't already raised their hand, let us know. Familiarize yourself with any of the materials regarding Advocacy Day. Like I said, be prepared for something from me or one of the state captain coordinators that's going to have, you know, that foundational document, the framework in the instructional guide for state captain. I'm really going to try, promise, I'm going to try and avoid state captain fatigue. So for now, until the end of March, I'm going to try to keep any scheduled meetings for this group to once a month and really make those meetings count. Okay. In April, we'll start having biweekly meetings with this group so we can have a conversation that will run into Advocacy Day. And by the way, that's what I hope to accomplish. One long conversation that we're going to have biweekly or more often as we get closer to Advocacy Day, if this group decides it's necessary or helpful. Okay. And of course, Advocacy Day is June 17th. That's a full day commitment. Obviously, we need you to be committed for the entire day on June 17th. And if that's not possible, please speak up. There's nothing wrong with saying that, you know what, I can't do it. And you can still be part of the program, but we want to make sure that we have somebody that is absolutely going to be available for the full day. Okay. Everyone has their own obligations and things come up. Just call me. You're going to have my phone number and you're going to have my email address. And so please call me anytime. All right. If I suppose if there's any takeaway here from all of this is that I'm always available if you need me. Okay. So please do not hesitate to reach out. All right. And you know, that actually goes to the point that I was making earlier too. If even we're always trying to deepen the bench, and so even if you think that there's a chance that you might not be able to participate on June 17th, let's bring somebody along. Make somebody your understudy. Make somebody want to own it and be that state captain next year. Okay, it's just as important as the successes that I think that we're going to find this year. Okay. Okay. Anything else on the timelines, Tracy?
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
think that the only thing I would add is for anyone new on the call, I know Ryan said this too, those tasks, you know, may seem overwhelming to see that list, but I promise you that we will be there with you every step of the way. We have, you know, training webinars. We'll be there to support you. There's state captain mentors that are available to have calls with you and emails. So if at any time you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you need extra support, please let us know because, you know, we're here, like Ryan said, we're happy to set up calls and connect with you. And we want you to feel the most supported possible.
I'm just looking at some of these notes and I saw this comment from Lisa that I just want to comment on too. Lisa Rosenthal is leading the effort to recruit from states that are traditionally underrepresented. And so if you know anyone else who is, you know, I'm going to pick on a couple of states, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Tennessee. If you know people from those states that you think really could be helpful, I'm certain that Lisa Rosenthal would love to hear from you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else on timelines?
No, I think we're all set
Okay.
with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Logistics and organization. The coordinators, the names that you saw earlier, are going to be very valuable to you. Okay. All of us are going to be your points of contact for all things state captain program and an Advocacy Day resource. I think, you know, as an example, in last year, I acted as the Illinois state captain. I'm probably not going to do that this year. Okay. I'd rather somebody else be the Illinois state captain so that I can be available to everyone if they need me. But we're going to provide you with each other's contact information so that you can rely on each other too. Okay. Nobody has all the answers. And so if there's somebody else that can help you as a state captain, you will be able to contact anyone who is acting in a similar role. Okay. Any other points about logistics and organization, Tracy?
I just wanted, Barb put a great note in the chat that I just wanted to go over for those of you that aren't familiar, Advocacy Associates. So last year they were Prime Advocacy, but they merged and now they are called Advocacy Associates. That is the organization that we work with that helps us to connect with all of the offices and set up our appointments for the day. And so I will be working with them, and I'll be providing the registration lists, and they'll help to secure the meeting. So that's just something that I thought that would to add just in case because of the name change.
Great. Okay, I don't have anything else on the logistics and organization, where that's another thing that's going to be developing and evolving as we go over the next couple of months.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Let's see here. Let's see. Yes. We'll move on to the next slide.
Okay, so next steps and follow up, and then we'll open it up and try and answer any questions that you guys may have. So again, you're going to be receiving contact from either me directly or from one of the state captain coordinators over the next couple of weeks. Okay, and that should include that state captain's guide. Treat it like a living, breathing document. Make contributions if you think that there are areas that we could do better. Okay, we're going to be building upon your input through the next couple of months, so that by the end of March we have a document that we're comfortable with, that maybe we can still tweak along the way, but a document that we're really going to be able to approach advocates with, that we feel can make them the most prepared for Advocacy Day. Okay, it's a document that you're going to rely on, but it's also one that you're going to use to educate any advocates in your delegation. Now, one last comment that I wanted to make. I know that all of you have felt that exhilaration from participating in Advocacy Day. I hope that we'll be able to pass that along to as many people as possible, because as we know, all the work over the next several months, particularly on Advocacy Day, may not be realized for years from now. It was a point that Joe and Jesse were making last week that I found very interesting, that usually these types of things take several years, up to 7 years, before we see some real results. But that can't happen unless we make it happen this year, right? So building on everything that was done in the past, I think it's very important that the concentration for now should be on the recruiting efforts, right? Making sure that we're bringing in as many people as possible that want to participate. That way, next year and the year after, it's probably not us that are state captains, but somebody else. And so for now, I think that that's just as important as anything else. I'm gonna let Tracy read any questions that she may think are important to answer tonight, but please do not ever hesitate to reach out to me. You will have my contact information by email or by phone at any time. And if you ever want to talk, just give me a call. Okay.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions that they want to put in the chat, oh, I see their chat. That would be great. And like Ryan said, we will be sending up follow-up email that will provide you with more information on contact list, on the Google Doc for the instructional guide. So we will definitely be following up. So be on the lookout for those emails. We did get a question. Is there any kind of social media post we can use to help advertise for states? Yes, so we are creating right now some graphics and social media and messaging that will be available, I believe, within the next week. So we can definitely, send that to all of the state captains, and we would love your help and support. And I think someone else said in the chat, we can also let you know what are the 15 states, or Lisa as well, the 15 states that we are really wanting to recruit, at least 3 participants. For last year had 1 participant. So we'd love your help in any postings that you could do. All right, let's see.
Allison asked about Zoom calls instead of phone calls, and Barb had answered this question last week. It's really dependent on the office, whether or not we get a Zoom call. I think we would all prefer that. There she is. Not our decision, up to each office. But yeah, I think we would all prefer that.
Yes.
Because it would make it a lot easier. One thing that I did see some delegations find to be successful last year was, despite the fact that you weren't on a Zoom call with the member or the staff, they had their own Zoom calls going, right? While they were on the phone, so that you guys could at least see each other and you can kind of point to each other when it's time to talk. I know that logistically that may be difficult, but we'll be sorting out some of those things over the next few months to see if it's something that each state captain can set up. I know that it might not be feasible, but we'll certainly consider that.
Hey, Ryan, it's Barb.
Yeah.
Can I address, Annie had a comment in the chat, which was excellent. So when you think about 2020, we made the decision about 8 weeks before the event to go virtual. And, we were all learning as we went. And certainly the state captains, we learned, Ryan and Tracy and I, we learned as we went. And as we got closer, we learned how critically important the state captains were. But we all of us didn't have the time to prepare and stuff. So here we are in January, Advocacy Day is in June. As Ryan has laid out, you as a state captain will now be communicating with your state delegation months before Advocacy Day, definitely weeks before Advocacy Day. And you're going to be hosting calls and you're going to be getting to know them. If you're from a large state, there'll be 2 of you, large delegation, a couple of you helping. Bottom line is, you have so many opportunities to set expectations with your advocates, to let them know, look, the expectation is you're available all day. We don't know till that morning when you're going to get your meeting. We're counting on you in those meetings to have certain talking points and to participate. You can't flake out on us. So we're going to be much better prepared, and have a lot of time to do that. In addition, we do our best to let people know, the expectations. Even when we have an in-person, we have no shows. So I think we just need to do our best. It's very hard to, we don't charge anything. So it's very hard to, make sure that people are going to do what they say they're going to do. But I'm just saying that I think we have a much better opportunity with several months to make sure that people do what they say they're going to do and are participating at the level that we want them to. So Annie, I don't know if that answered your question, but I'm hoping with time and with better planning, and honestly, feel free to use some of these examples as you talk to your delegation and say, look, we have to have our game on that day, and we can't have people cancel because it looks bad for us, it looks bad for the organizations, and it looks bad for our issues. And that's what they're going to remember. So hopefully we can weed out people who aren't that committed.
And Barb, I just wanted to add one thing, that in the registration process, we also require a 2-step registration where someone has to confirm with me through the auto reply email that they will be coming to Advocacy Day. So I know that that isn't perfect and there is still drop off with that, but we will not confirm someone for a meeting and put them into your state captain group unless they have sent a second email to me saying that they are confirmed for the day. We have a bunch of questions. Okay. One question. Let's see. Someone was asking, I can't find it right now. Someone was asking if we could have like a meetup for state captains to connect with other state captains like regionally or in their area. We can definitely work on setting something up that's more informal for people to get to know each other. I think that's a great idea. So, so we can definitely do that. Let's see here.
Yorona asked a question about when we would have final rosters. Do you guys know what the cutoff date is going to be yet?
So we haven't done a cutoff date yet. We did definitely get feedback from state captains last year that, you know, requesting the cutoff date to be a little bit earlier. So we're definitely going to discuss that. So we can put that, I'll put that in my notes for an operations meeting, but we'll definitely put that on and make sure that the cutoff date isn't, you know, too close where you're, you know, scrambling to put groups together. I'm trying to see.
Lisa has a question here about which state, Lisa Eshelman, about which state we are representing. For instance, our home of record where we vote is Arizona. She's currently, her husband is stationed in Illinois, but might be moving again this spring because her husband's in the military. I'm just going to say, Julie, whichever delegation you are in is going to benefit from your presence. So whether that's Illinois or Arizona or somewhere else, where you will absolutely have a home. I can tell you, whoever is listening out there, if you get Julie Eshelman in your delegation, you are going to love having Julie Eshelman in your delegation. So Julie, we'll talk directly about that.
All right, so other questions?
Can I ask a question, Tracy?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm in Virginia, and I think this is my 6th year. I'd have to look. And I thought virtual went very well last year, especially considering all the scrambling and, you know, all of the changes that we had to take into account. But one of my favorite things about Advocacy Day is like being around so many people that get it. And I think that's how a lot of people feel, just like being in the same space with people that have gone through a lot of the same struggles. And I think with smaller states, probably people still have conversations where you still sort of get that intimate feeling. I'm wondering if you guys have given any thought to how we can replicate that in the larger states, because you know, like Virginia used to walk into a room and they'd have to get a bigger room for all of us to come in. And it just felt like, wow, like we're making a statement, but we're on the phone, only a few people can talk and you're not getting that connection. And I think in addition to advocating, just the meeting people, interacting with people does a lot. And I want to try to foster that, but I'm not sure how to do it. So those are my thoughts and questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple of different responses from your questions. And that's a great question. So, and this also ties into Barb's question about the larger Advocacy Day committee. So for the social aspect, you know, that's really important. And we do want people to be able to engage and connect with others. We have a larger Advocacy Day committee that is made up of several subcommittees. One of those subcommittees is the engagement committee and subcommittee, sorry. And their part is to create sort of that social aspect and connection to Advocacy Day. So I know this committee is going to be working on doing happy hour meetups prior to Advocacy Day, and they're going to be working on different ways to connect. So that way, people do have opportunities for Advocacy Day. I know one thing that a couple of groups, I don't know if any state captains on this call did, that they said that they really liked as a way, with the phone calls, they had a Zoom link in addition to that, and had sort of them all on screen so they could see each other in the calls and connect as a way. And, as Barb said, we do connect with the, ask the offices for the opportunity for, a video call instead of just a regular phone call. And, hopefully this year, there's been some more time for, technology and people getting used to, these platforms, that maybe, the offices will be more amenable and will have, more opportunities for that. Oh, Annie, perfect. And Annie said that, the Washington delegation, and I know that, states, like you said, are different. Some are a lot larger than others. They stayed on screen during meetings so they could chat and then do a debrief afterwards. So I think we can definitely, though, Allison, brainstorm, and I can also bring this up with our different, subcommittees to talk about ways for social engagement and ways for, larger groups to be able to have, conversations with each other and connect.
Great, thank you.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Lisa, how many legislators signed on to bills last year compared, and what happened? We do have that data, and we can provide that to the group as well. We tracked how many people signed on as co-sponsors, and I can pull up that document, and yeah, we can definitely, we have that information to show you years past as well. I don't have the information offhand, but we can definitely provide that and follow up. I'm trying to go back to see if I'm missing questions. Let's see. Can we find out who from our state has registered so that we can welcome them? I think that's a great idea. Once they're confirmed registrant, I will work with Ryan to send out the list to everybody, and then you can provide, you can reach out to them and you'll have their contact information.
Yeah, one thing that I did, I tried to promise that you wouldn't get state captain fatigue, but you might get enrollment fatigue, meaning that the delegation is constantly updating, especially as we get closer. And so we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that as new registrants come in, you're getting a regular update to make sure that every advocate in your delegation. Okay.
Someone is asking, when will we know which bills we are advocating for? I can have Barb definitely chime in if I'm missing anything. So this is a new congressional session. So we are having, discussions with different offices and organizations and ASRM. And so no bills, have been introduced. And so that is going to be a process. We don't have anything right now, but we will update you and let you know when, that information becomes available.
Great job, Tracy.
Okay. Let's see here.
Just a question about knowing, which legislators have signed on. We probably won't have that problem because this is a new Congress, so all of our bills will be new. But if by chance, we have some bills introduced early and they already have co-sponsors, that information will definitely be available. It was also available last year, so concerns me that somehow you didn't get that information, but through Ryan and the state coordinators, state captain coordinators and everything, you know, we will make sure that everybody knows where to find all that information.
All right. And I'm sorry if I missed anyone's questions. I'm trying to go back in the chat and see if there are any that I might have forgotten. But if I did, definitely type it back in. Okay, how do we update information about co-sponsors? I know for myself, I typically use GovTrack, and it will alert me when new people are added on, and then I'll add it into an Excel spreadsheet. Another one of our, out of the full volunteer committee, one of the subcommittees is the follow-up committee. And those set of volunteers will be in charge of helping to track those, you know, new co-sponsors, make sure that everyone registered is aware, especially people that may be the constituents of this co-sponsor, so that way they can do the appropriate follow-up and thank them. So again, to Barb's, you know, point, we're going to have a follow-up subcommittee. We have the state captain subcommittee where the state captain coordinators. Lisa is going to be running an underrepresented state task force that's going to be helping to get those 15 states that we really want, you know, to up our, you know, volunteers. And we also have the engagement subcommittee is going to be helping with the social aspect. We have community ambassadors that are going to be reaching out to our partner organizations and influencers. So there's going to be sort of a lot of things floating and in action, and we're excited about that.
Tracy, can you explain the Facebook group, because I know it's changed a little bit, and how you're doing?
Yes, that is a great question. And I know that in a previous webinar, I just wanted to clarify, you're not required to join this Facebook group. It's just an option if you'd like to. So we originally had a private Advocacy Day Facebook group. We did expand this Facebook group and created a new one in September. So I apologize for any confusion, and I can send out that link. The new Facebook group it includes all advocates. So people who have done state advocacy days, federal advocacy days, people that have downloaded our state advocacy toolkit, people that have done action alerts on our website or sent emails or calls, and everybody is included in that. So that big Facebook group provides, you know, alerts and information about like all of the states that we, you know, any state action alerts and things going on. Within that group, we also have the Advocacy Day event page set up. So you can RSVP on the Advocacy Day Facebook events page, and you'll get all of the alerts for that as well. You can connect with other people that are signed up for Advocacy Day, and we'll have more content and information. So I will make sure to send that link in the follow-up if you are interested in joining and would like to. This is a great question, really important question. Do we need to sign up for Advocacy Day, or are captains already signed up? You are not signed up for Advocacy Day right now. So we need everyone to register separately and be added into the system. Just because our registration has certain questions and information that I wouldn't know by registering all of you, such as, you know, your address and state and things like that. So we can definitely provide the link for that as well, but yes, please register. All right, so we have 3 minutes left, so I definitely want to be respectful of everyone's time. So if anyone has anything, any other last minute questions, Ryan, any last words?
I am absolutely thrilled at the turnout for tonight and the sign up so far. Please refer anyone to us that you think might be helpful too. I'll be doing the same, and I'll be reaching out to you. No action necessary other than getting people involved in Advocacy Day for now. In the meantime, you'll be hearing from me, and I promise I will try not to overwhelm you.
Wonderful. Let's see here. So I don't have much to add either. I just again want to thank you all for taking your time and for volunteering, and we're so excited to have you on board. I wrote down that we already have 162 people that have registered in 5 days for Advocacy Day, which is amazing. We have a goal of 450 people to be attending. So I'm really excited. I can't wait for those of you that are new, welcome, and those of you that are coming back again, we're so excited that you're here, and we'll send a follow-up email, and please connect with Ryan or myself for any questions that you may have.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, I'm going to figure out how to stop the recording. Okay.